you're learning about the tax consequences of buying and selling a business, another way to understand it is think of it like a card game, or specifically a poker match. You've got the buyer, you've got the seller. They've got their information. They've got what they want. They have their incentives in terms of doing the transaction in a certain way, in terms of allocating value. As you're going to learn in buying and selling a business, there's very flexible aspects of ranges and values that can take place. The buyer and seller, they have to agree on certain valuations. They have to agree to certain terms that the IRS allows them to do, because the idea is that if the buyer and the seller are at arm's length, which means they're unrelated, there's no gimmicks, the parties aren't related in any way, then the market's going to basically work itself out. The buyer has its incentives, the seller has its incentives, and the idea is that the parties are going to negotiate, they're going to come to an agreement. But that's really where this comes down to a card game. You don't want to show your hand to the other party. So if you're doing one of my negotiations, one of my mock negotiations, keep that in mind. It's like going into a card game. You don't want to immediately show all your facts, all your information. Now, of course, when I do mine, I give information to both sides. But the idea is that your strategy, you want to make sure that you're thinking about strategy in terms of what the next step is, or how should we approach things. Maybe we should go in and ask for this and maybe not expect to get that and then have a second alternative. And that's how things go in practice. This area of buying and selling a business is very, very, very practice focused. This is what we do in practice. If you go out in tax practice or even accounting practice, these are the kind of things you're going to be dealing with, adding value to clients, the fun stuff. So just keep that in mind. This is meant to be a fun area. Again, just like a poker match, just keep that in mind. Lots of strategy, lots of rules to consider. It's also fun in that you've learned a lot about tax. Now you get to put that knowledge into play, kind of like a puzzle. All the pieces come together. Very, very fun and interesting. So keep that in mind. And again, very much like a big poker match.